The 1352 meme just became 1360. Hillary Clinton was right? Absolutely, she was right, as we'll see. Look at this. According to the latest data, Black Americans, who make up 13% of the population, comprised 60.4% of known murder offenders in 2021, a new record, up from a record 56.5% black in 2020. Astonishing. And now Revolver says, we can argue until we're blue in the face about why this is happening, but the data speak for itself. Data is plural. The data speak for themselves. Nothing can be done to solve this deadly crime problem until we all agree to set aside the blinders of political correctness. Look at this. Hillary Clinton was absolutely right in 1996 when speaking of super predators that must be brought to heel. Have a look.
Because of what citizens and neighborhood patrols are doing, we're making some progress. Much of it is related to the initiative called community policing, because we have finally gotten more police officers on the street. That was one of the goals that the president had when he pushed the crime bill that was passed in 1994. He promised 100,000 police. We're moving in that direction, but we can see it already makes a difference. Because if we have more police interacting with people, having them on the streets, we can prevent crimes. We can prevent petty crimes from turning into something worse. But we also have to have an organized effort against gangs. Just as in a previous generation we had an organized effort against the mob. We need to take these people on. They are often connected to big drug cartels. They are not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about why they ended up that way, but first we have to bring them to heel. And the president has asked the FBI to launch a very concerted effort against gangs everywhere.
Amazing! That was when Hillary Clinton and the Democrats retained some semblance of decency and sanity. Along with Pig Biden when he supported the 1994 crime bill. Let's take a look at him talking about that in 2019.
1994 crime bill, we had a gigantic epidemic in America of violence, particularly in African American communities. The notion was overwhelmingly supported. It was supported by the Black Caucus in the United States Senate by and large.
Oh, how right were the witch Hillary and Pig Biden to support that anti-crime legislation in the 90s. And now they're quivering, pitiful white ethnomasochists, terrified of being called racist. Pitiful. Now let's take a look at this. This is the 2016 The Color of Crime report over at AMREN, American Renaissance. Let's look at some major findings. The evidence suggests that if there is police racial bias in arrests, it is negligible. Victim and witness surveys show that police arrest violent criminals in close proportion to the rates at which criminals of different races commit violent crimes. Both violent and nonviolent crime has been declining in the United States since a high in 1993. 2015 saw a disturbing rise in murder in major American cities that some observers associated with depolicing in response to intense media and public scrutiny of police activity. Crime rates. There are dramatic race differences in crime rates. Asians have the lowest crime rates, followed by whites and then Hispanics. Blacks have notably high crime rates. This pattern holds true for virtually all crime categories and for virtually all age groups. In 2013, a black was 6 times more likely than a non-black to commit murder and 12 times more likely to murder someone of another race than to be murdered by someone of another race. Interracial crime. In 2013, of the approximately 660,000 crimes of interracial violence that involved blacks and whites, blacks were the perpetrators 85% of the time. This meant a black person was 27 times more likely to attack a white person than vice versa. A Hispanic was 8 times more likely to attack a white person than vice versa. You don't hear much about this in the mainstream media, do you? The fake stream media. Urban centers. In 2014 in New York City, a black was 31 times more likely than a white to be arrested for murder, and a Hispanic was 12.4 times more likely. For the crime of shooting, defined as firing a bullet that hit someone, a black was 98.4 times more likely than a white to be arrested, and a Hispanic was 23.6 times more likely. If New York City, now this is astonishing, get a load of this, get ready. If New York City were all white, the murder rate would drop by 91%. The robbery rate by 81%, and the shootings rate by 97%. This is what the fake stream media is hiding from you. Now get a load of this. In an all-white Chicago, murder would decline by 90%, rape by 81%, and robbery by 90%. Police shootings. In 2015, a black person was 2.45 times more likely than a white person to be shot and killed by the police. A Hispanic person was 1.21 times more likely. These figures are well within what would be expected, given race differences in crime rates and likelihood to resist arrest. In 2015, police killings of blacks accounted for approximately 4% of homicides of blacks. Police killings of unarmed blacks accounted for approximately 0.6% of homicides of blacks. The overwhelming majority of black homicide victims, 93% from 1980 to 2008, were killed by blacks. Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden were absolutely right in the 1990s, before they became quivering white ethnomasochists. We live in an empire of lies. Lies on every front. Just think there's an imposter in the Vatican right now by the name of Francis. Lies in every arena. It's time to get real. Really real. Have no fear about being called a schismatic for acknowledging the truth about anti-Pope Francis. And have no fear about being called a racist for acknowledging the devastating truth about crime. Don't deceive yourself. Refusing to acknowledge such truths does not place you atop the moral high ground. Quite the opposite. It makes you just another liar. See the links I'll include below this video. I'll include one that may well save your life. It's called The Talk, Nonblack Version by John Derbyshire. It's the essay that got him fired from the cuckservative, pitiful cuckservative National Review magazine. Now he writes for VDare, much to his credit. Take a look.